Why do you feel like you're holding back when every part of you is screaming to break free? Why do you second-guess your instincts, swallow your truth, and shrink into silence when your soul is begging you to rise? You weren't born like this. You weren't born hesitant. You weren't born tame. That was taught, installed, conditioned into you by a world that fears raw strength, that mocks boldness, that rewards quiet obedience while secretly worshiping power. From the beginning, you were taught to follow the line, to be polite, to not cause trouble. But inside, you've always known, you were made for more than blending in. There's a kind of quiet suffering that comes with living like a sheep. It's the ache in your chest when you nod along but want to scream. It's the pit in your stomach when you back down, when you let things slide, when you let people walk over you. Again, you justify it. You tell yourself it's maturity, that it's peacekeeping. But deep down, you know the truth. It's fear, it's habit. It's being trapped in a role that was never meant for you. And every time you silence yourself, you weaken that inner fire. Every time you conform, you bury your potential deeper beneath the rubble of what's acceptable. But there's something in you that refuses to die. A restlessness, a defiance. A quiet, coiled energy that refuses to accept a small life. That's the lion. And no matter how long it's been caged, it remembers. It remembers what it means to own your voice, to stand your ground, to command without raising your volume, to move through this world not as a beggar but as a presence. That lion is not a dream. It is not a fantasy. It is you, unfiltered, unapologetic, undeniable, but it cannot survive in a life built on pleasing others and avoiding discomfort. You've seen it in others, the way they walk into a room and something shifts, not because they speak loud, but because they know who they are. That presence, that clarity, that power, that's not reserved for someone else. It's waiting for you to claim it. But first, you must kill the sheep inside. The one that flinches at disapproval, the one that apologizes for existing, the one that waits and wishes and watches. This is your wake-up call. You've tolerated enough. You've hidden long enough. It's time to rise, because the world doesn't listen to whispers. It listens to those who move with intention, who stop asking and start becoming, who stop hoping and start ruling. If you're tired of feeling overlooked, tired of being underestimated, then keep watching. Because once the lion in you wakes up, nothing and no one will ever see you the same way again. Stay with this to the end. By the time we're done, the sheep will be gone, and only the lion will remain. You've been told that being nice is the key to being loved. That if you just stay humble, stay kind, stay agreeable, people will see your worth. But how many times have you watched that kindness get ignored? How many times has your silence been mistaken for weakness, your patience mistaken for permission, your loyalty mistaken for stupidity? Oh, you give and they take, you bend and they expect you to break. The truth no one tells you is that the world doesn't reward good intentions. It rewards strength. Not loudness, not arrogance, strength, inner force, unshakable self-respect. And that only comes when you stop being afraid to be misunderstood. You don't need to be cruel to be powerful, but you need to be willing to stop begging for approval, because every time you seek validation, you give away control. Every time you water yourself down to be liked, you betray the lion inside you. The more you try to be everything to everyone, the more you lose yourself. And what's left? A hollow shell of politeness that gets passed over, talked over, stepped over. That's the sheep. Smiling on the outside, screaming on the inside. Pretending everything's fine while drowning in resentment. There's a part of you that wants to say no and mean it. That wants to walk away and never explain. That wants to speak truth and not soften it for fragile ears. That is not selfish. That is not wrong. That is power waking up inside you. Power doesn't come from pleasing others. It comes from standing rooted in who you are, even if it makes people uncomfortable. Especially if it makes people uncomfortable. Because that's when they start to see you differently. That's when they start to think twice before crossing your line. The lion doesn't walk around convincing others it's a lion. It just is. And that presence commands respect, not because it seeks it, but because it refuses anything less. You don't need to become aggressive. You need to become solid, grounded, sharp. When you move with that kind of energy, people feel it. They sense the shift. You stop being a doormat and you start becoming a mirror that reflects their own insecurity back at them. That's why they fear you. That's why they respect you. The lie of honestness is that it's the only way to be good. Duh. But true goodness has a spine. True goodness has boundaries. True goodness will not let itself be used. You have the right to protect your energy. You have the right to say no without guilt. You have the right to stop performing for people who wouldn't flinch if you disappeared. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to play small. Let the sheep apologize for taking up space. You were born to claim it, without fear, without hesitation, without shame. Keep going. The lion is almost here. They called you too intense, too direct, too serious. But what they were really saying was this: you were too much for the small boxes they tried to fit you in. Too much truth, too much presence, too much fire. And instead of being taught how to master that fire, you were told to smother it, to dim yourself, to soften every edge so you wouldn't make others uncomfortable. So you buried your instincts, held your breath, bit your tongue. You convinced yourself that being liked was safer than being real. But that safety came with a cost, and you've been paying it with your identity. That fire never went away. It's still there, burning beneath the surface. You feel it when you say yes, but your body screams no. You feel it when you pretend you're fine, but you're not. That pressure in your chest, that tightness in your throat, that restless energy that builds every time you betray your own truth, that's not anxiety. That's your power trying to break free. That's the lion clawing at the inside of the cage you've locked it in. And the longer you ignore it, the louder it gets. Until one day it doesn't whisper anymore. It roars. You were not made to fit in. You were not made to be silent, agreeable, convenient. You were built for impact, for clarity, for presence. But you cannot lead, cannot protect, cannot rise while denying the very parts of you that were born to command. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be unleashed. All the traits they told you to suppress, your directness, your confidence, your intensity, those are not flaws. They are indicators. Signals that you were made to walk a different path, not a safer one, a higher one, and that path requires something radical. Radical honesty, radical self-respect, radical detachment from the need to be understood by people who haven't earned the right to define you. If they can't handle your strength, let them leave. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be undeniable. You have to stop apologizing for being powerful. You have to stop negotiating your worth. You have to stop seeking peace at the expense of your purpose. Because every time you do, you confirm the lie they told you that your fire is dangerous. It's not. It's divine. And it's time to stop hiding it behind polite smiles and silent suffering. The lion doesn't ask for permission to exist. It just rises unapologetically. And it's not louder than the sheep because it has to be. It's louder because it can't be ignored. Neither can you once you reclaim what they made you abandon. This is your return, not to who you were told to be, but to who you've always been. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not too much. You are simply no longer willing to live as less. Burn the mask. Let the fire rise. Let them adjust to your full force. They trained you to feel guilty for wanting more. They called it arrogance when you dreamed bigger. They called it selfish when you prioritized yourself. But deep down, you've always known there's nothing arrogant about rising. There's nothing selfish about refusing to shrink. The world doesn't change when you blend in. It changes when you decide you're done living life in pieces, when you stop watering yourself down to fit into places you've outgrown. You were not meant to live quietly inside someone else's comfort zone. You were meant to disrupt, to elevate, to lead, to lead. And the first step is this: stop asking for permission to become who you already are. The lion doesn't seek validation from the herd. It doesn't second-guess its direction or beg to be understood. It simply moves because it trusts its instincts more than it fears rejection. That's what you must reclaim, that deep, unwavering self-trust, that internal authority. Because if you keep looking outside yourself for answers, you'll keep finding reasons to play small. You'll keep deferring your life to people who haven't earned the right to guide it. And every day you hesitate is a day stolen from your own potential. People will try to keep you tame because it makes them feel safe. Your growth will challenge their comfort. Your truth will expose their lies. Your strength will remind them of everything they settled for. That's why they want you to stay soft, quiet, agreeable. Not because it's good for you, but because it's easier for them. But you are not here to make others comfortable at the cost of your own evolution. You are here to break patterns, to raise standards, to create a life that reflects your highest self, not your safest version. To do that, you must choose discomfort. You must choose discipline. You must choose isolation over fake connection. Because the path of the lion is not crowded. So it's not filled with applause or constant reassurance. It's filled with silence, clarity, and power. The kind of power that doesn't come from being liked, but from being rooted. You are not here to fit in. You are here to stand out, and standing out means being misunderstood, judged, even hated. Let them. Their opinion of your journey is none of your business. Every excuse you've used to stay small, too early, too late, too risky, too much, it's all fear dressed as logic. Strip it away. Stand bare in your own potential. Feel the discomfort and rise anyway. That's how the lion moves. Not because it's fearless, but because it moves despite the fear. That's courage. That's freedom. That's power. You're not waiting for the right time anymore. You are the right time. And once you stop hiding, once you stop apologizing, once you stop explaining, you'll feel it. Raw, undeniable, irreversible. The shift, the awakening, the transformation, the death of the sheep, the birth of the lion. Keep going. You're almost home. The most dangerous thing you can do is wait. Wait until you feel ready. Wait until the fear goes away. Wait until everyone understands. That moment never comes. You think time will hand you courage, but it doesn't. It hands you regret. You think more preparation will silence the doubt, but it won't. Doubt doesn't disappear when you're fully prepared. It disappears when you act in spite of it. Power doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from doing what you already know you need to do. And you already know. Deep down, you've known for a long time. You just haven't given yourself permission to move. This is where the sheep dies, at the edge of hesitation. It's the moment you stop living on delay. The moment you stop negotiating with your own power. Every excuse you make, every story you tell yourself about why you're not ready yet, it's all protection. But it's not protecting you. It's protecting the cage. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of standing alone. It's real, but so is the cost of obeying it. That cost is your potential. That cost is your life. You don't become a lion by waiting to feel brave. You become a lion by acting with intention when everything inside you wants to run. That shift begins the second you choose to face the resistance rather than avoid it. You stop flinching. You stop justifying. You stop explaining why you're not moving. And you move imperfectly, boldly, now. Because action kills fear, and every small step is another nail in the coffin of your old self. You think you're afraid of what might go wrong, but the real fear, the deeper fear, is what might happen if it all goes right. What if you actually rise? What if people do start listening? What if you become undeniable? That fear is just as real because it forces you to outgrow the identity you've clung to, the smallness, the comfort, the quiet suffering. That's why the sheep clings to the familiar, because stepping into power means burying who you used to be. But you are not here to survive in someone else's shadow. You are here to cast your own. And it starts with one ruthless decision to stop living beneath your potential. Not tomorrow, not when you feel brave. Now. You don't need another sign. You don't need more time. You need to decide. Decide that you are done playing roles that suffocate your soul. Decide that fear doesn't get to be the architect of your future. Decide that the lion in you is not waiting to be rescued. It's waiting to be released. This is the moment everything shifts. You don't rise by becoming something new. You rise by remembering who you were before fear took the lead. Before doubt silenced your roar, that roar is still in you. And the only thing left is to unleash it. Every day you hesitate, the cage grows tighter. Not because the world is closing in, but because your mind is. Doubt is not external. It's internal construction, a fortress built from every time you chose safety over growth, silence over truth, comfort over purpose. And if you're not careful, it becomes your home. You decorate it with routine, pad it with distractions, and call it peace. But it's not peace, it's quiet surrender. You weren't made for that. You weren't designed to live sedated and half awake, numbing the fire you were born to carry. You were made to rise, to lead with instinct, with force, with unapologetic clarity. That isn't rebellion. That's alignment. You feel it when you're alone. The restlessness, the ache, the sense that something powerful is trying to surface, but you keep pressing it down. That's not weakness. That's your real self trying to breathe. It's the part of you that refuses to die in submission, that refuses to let your potential go to the grave unexpressed. You don't lack discipline. You lack permission from yourself to stop dimming, to stop deferring, to stop delaying the moment you finally own who you are. The sheep needs comfort, the lion needs challenge. And the life you crave, the one with depth, freedom, impact, that life does not exist within your comfort zone. It waits beyond rejection, beyond discomfort, beyond fear. That version of you is already alive. It's just trapped beneath layers of hesitation and years of being told to play small. But no more. You are no longer available for the life that keeps you invisible. You are no longer agreeing to be overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed. This is not about pretending you're not afraid. This is about choosing to move anyway. To walk straight into discomfort with your head high and your heart open. You don't need every step mapped out. You don't need a guarantee. You need faith in yourself, a kind of faith that refuses to back down. Faith that your voice matters. Faith that your instincts are right. Faith that you can build the life that keeps you awake at night, because you can. But only if you stop negotiating your fire for someone else's approval. Power is not found in comfort. It is found in the decision to rise while shaking, to speak while trembling, to act while doubting. That's the lion's way. Not perfect, not polished, but certain. Certain that freedom is more important than being liked. Certain that growth is more important than ease. Certain that living fully is worth the risk of being misunderstood. You are not meant to tiptoe through life hoping not to disturb anyone. You are meant to leave a trail of purpose behind you. You don't owe the world silence. You owe it your roar. And that roar isn't waiting for permission. It's waiting for you to remember who you are and finally let go of everything that taught you to be less. Every time you betray your voice to keep the peace, you lose a piece of yourself. You silence the very force meant to guide you. You trade strength for approval, clarity for comfort, and vision for validation. But the world does not reward the watered-down version of you. It forgets it. It overlooks it. It steps over it without a second glance. Because power is not found in politeness. Power is found in truth. And your truth, the raw, unfiltered, unedited version, was never meant to be silent. It was meant to cut through noise, to divide illusion from reality, to make the room shift when you enter. But you can't do that while apologizing for your presence. You have to stop being surprised when people walk away the moment you start acting like you matter. You have to stop taking it personally when your boundaries offend those who benefited from your lack of them. When you stop overgiving, they'll call you selfish. When you stop people-pleasing, they'll call you difficult. When you finally show up with standards, they'll say you've changed. Let them talk. Let them go. Growth has a price, but so does staying small. And the longer you stay small, the more disconnected you become from your purpose, from your voice, from your life. You are not here to be agreeable. You are not here to blend in. You are here to walk boldly in your own truth, no matter who it unsettles. You cannot serve your mission while catering to everyone's comfort. You cannot lead while being addicted to being liked. And you cannot evolve while staying loyal to environments that feed your fear. You have to choose peace or power. You don't get both. One keeps you tame, the other sets you free. The lion does not adapt to the silence of sheep. It moves with its own rhythm. It walks its own path, and it does so alone if it must. That solitude is not loneliness, it is power. Because once you stop needing the crowd can no longer control you. Once you stop fearing abandonment, you become unshakable. No one can manipulate a mind that does not seek external permission to exist. And no one can silence a voice that knows its own value. You already know what needs to go. The habits, the environments, the roles, the people, the excuses. You already know what the next level of your life demands. It's not more information. It's more courage. It's more discipline. It's more truth. And it starts when you stop performing for a world that was never meant to validate you. You were never meant to be understood by the average. You were meant to disturb it, to wake it up, to rise above it. You were born to lead, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And the world doesn't need another person who blends in. It needs you, fully awake, fully alive, and finally unwilling to live as anything less than powerful. You will never rise while begging for permission to exist. The world doesn't hand power to the polite. It hands power to those who demand it with their presence, their posture, their refusal to shrink. You were taught to be soft, agreeable, digestible, to make yourself easier for others to accept. But acceptance is not power. Acceptance is the sheep's reward. The lion doesn't seek acceptance. It claims territory with silence, movement, and sheer certainty. No noise, no apologies, no explanation. Just authority in motion. You don't owe anyone an explanation for evolving. You owe yourself the life that was promised the moment you stop pretending to be less. There is a moment when you stop waiting to be chosen, when you realize that waiting is a form of self-abandonment. The job, the relationship, the opportunity, the recognition. None of it defines you. All of it distracts you until you remember who you are without it. The lion does not ask for favor. It creates its own advantage, does not compete with the pack. It creates space they never saw coming. That space is carved by direction, by fire, by the decision to no longer live under the weight of almost. Almost ready, almost powerful, almost worthy. There is no power in almost. You have to understand what's really killing your drive. It's not failure. It's fatigue from suppressing your own truth. It's the weight of living in disguise. Every day spent performing, bending, adjusting. That is what drains your spirit. The lion is never tired of being a lion. It's only tired when it's caged. You've been caged by narratives that don't belong to you, limits that were never yours, expectations rooted in fear, not vision. If you want to wake up, you have to let it all burn. The masks, the roles, the fake humility, let it all go. Your power lives underneath it. This world won't hand you respect. You will have to earn it with your energy, your edge, your refusal to back down. You will lose people. You will unsettle rooms. You will intimidate those still loyal to their own smallness. That is not a sign you're doing it wrong. That is proof you're finally walking in your real self. Don't dilute it. Don't apologize for it. Don't soften the edges just to make others feel safe. You were not born to be palatable. You were born to be precise. Precision is power. Purpose is fire. And when the two collide inside you, nothing can stop what follows. Not judgment, not delay, not failure. When you decide that your vision matters more than their opinions, you unlock a version of yourself that doesn't flinch, doesn't pause, doesn't beg, it builds, it moves, it leads. That version of you is not a dream. It's a decision. Make it, and don't look back, because everything that held you before will try to reclaim you. But once you've tasted your own power, silence will never feel like safety again. You cannot live like a lion with the habits of a sheep. You can't move like a force while thinking like a follower. Power is not just energy. It's structure. It's the way you speak to yourself. It's the rituals you repeat when no one's watching. It's the war you're willing to fight within before the world ever sees your strength. The lion does not become king by chance. It becomes king through discipline. Ruthless discipline, the kind that doesn't wait for motivation, doesn't beg for energy, doesn't fold when the mood shifts. Discipline is what separates those who want power from those who take it. Most people never make it, not because they lack talent, but because they lack the spine to be consistent. They wait for the right time. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the fear to go away. And in that waiting, life slips. Fire dies. Vision fades. They stay stuck in the loop of almost becoming own, but almost is a coffin. And the only way out is execution. Do it tired. Do it scared. Do it alone, but do it. Because lions don't wait to feel powerful. They act, and the feeling follows. You have to understand something deep and uncomfortable. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you your dream. No one is coming to rescue you from your habits, your excuses, your stagnation. And if you don't rise for yourself, you will fall for everything else. You will fall for distractions that taste like comfort. You will fall for validation that feels like love. You will fall for promises that only delay your calling. But when you rise fully, intentionally, without apology, you stop falling. You start building. You start leading. You start owning the life that was meant for you. And it starts by showing up when it's hard, showing up when it's boring, showing up when it feels like nothing is working, because that's when the sheep quit. That's when the average break. That's when those who are pretending get exposed. But not you. You're done pretending. You're done waiting. You're done sitting in a life that feels like a shadow of what you know it could be. It's time to lock in. Not for a day, not for a week, but until your life bends under the pressure of your persistence. You don't need more time. You need more commitment. You don't need more chances. You need more focus. You don't need approval. You need authority, the kind that comes from showing up for yourself every single day, no matter what. That's the lion's path. It's not loud. It's not glamorous, but it's unshakable. Because once you start building like everything depends on you, everything starts to shift. Your mind sharpens. Your energy changes. Your presence expands. Not because life got easier, but because you got harder to break. And that's where the real transformation begins. Weakness doesn't announce itself with chains. It arrives quietly, dressed as comfort. It tempts you to rest when you should rise, to scroll when you should study, to wait when you should move. It disguises itself as logic, as timing, as self-care. But beneath that mask is surrender. The subtle daily choice to abandon your potential in exchange for a moment of ease. And each time you choose it, you train your mind to expect less from yourself. You chip away at your ambition until what once burned becomes background noise. The lion doesn't lose its power in battle. It loses it in softness, in compromise, in forgetting what it is. You're not tired. You're uninspired because you keep betraying the parts of you that crave greatness. You've dulled your instincts to fit in with people who fear their own reflection. You've silenced your standards to avoid standing alone, but the longer you run from your power, the more life becomes a loop instead of a launch. The more your days start to feel the same, predictable, safe, dead. Safety was never the goal. Power was. Freedom was. Freedom. The fire you feel inside isn't anger. It's refusal. Refusal to die with your potential untouched. Refusal to bow to mediocrity when you were built for magnitude. Refusal to accept that playing small is noble. It isn't. It's cowardice in disguise. You were not born to manage your time. You were born to command your space, to step into rooms and shift the temperature, to stop waiting for the world to recognize you and start moving like the world doesn't get a say. That's what a lion does. It doesn't ask for validation. It doesn't look around to see who's watching. It moves because that's what it does. It moves because its nature demands it. And your nature is no different. You've just been trained to ignore it. There is no success without sacrifice, no breakthrough without blood, no strength without pain. If it doesn't challenge you, it can't change you. If it doesn't test your limits, it can't expand them. And the resistance you feel every time you try to level up, that's the signal, not to stop, but to lean in, to push harder, to go where most won't. Because most are addicted to the path of least resistance, but lions don't chase ease. They chase dominance. They chase clarity. They chase the version of themselves that doesn't flinch. You will never be fully free until you respect yourself enough to do what's hard. Until you stop negotiating with your weakness and start demanding more from your spirit. That demand is how kings are made. It's how leaders are born. It's how legacies are built. Through pressure, through discipline, through the daily decision to act like your future matters more than your feelings. Your feelings will lie, but your fire never does. Trust it, feed it, become it, because anything less than that is betrayal, and you've been betrayed enough.